Welcome to Project U 2.2, the podcast where life and leadership meet endurance. I'm Greg Helmer, joined by my wife and partner in life and work, Carrie. Each week, we dive deep into the mindset, the neuroscience, and the real grit it takes to stop drifting and start living with clarity, confidence, and endurance. This is about real life, real struggles, and real growth. So lace up, it's time to live with endurance. If you listened to Carrie's conversation with Chanel, her former student, earlier this week, you probably felt it too. That quiet pull. That sense that you weren't just listening to a success story, you were listening to a powerful story about human connection. Today isn't a recap, it's a reflection. Because there are some people who walk into your life for a season, and some who shape your life without even knowing it. You see, Carrie taught math for 31 years. Thousands of students, thousands of faces. And yet, there are a few who still live vividly in our nervous system. The ones you can see, feel, and remember exactly as they were. And for my wife, Carrie, Chanel, her former student, is one of those people. I remember Chanel visiting us in the hospital when our youngest son was born. I thought it was so cool to have a student actually come visit their teacher in the hospital to celebrate the birth of our newborn son. And I remember Carrie speaking so incredibly highly of Chanel, not just as a student, but her as a human being. And I do remember that particular snow day when school was closed, heavy Michigan winter snow, the kind of day where everything feels quiet and still. Yet, Chanel reached out to her teacher and asked if she could come over and take our 3 little boys outside to play. Let that sink in. A high school kid, 16, 17 years old, on a snow day, giving up the comfort of a warm bed and rest to serve her teacher? She brought Carrie over her favorite hot drink. She didn't ask, she noticed. That's not a random act of kindness, that's being fully present. There's a term in neuroscience called neuroception. It's the body's ability to scan for safety or threat without conscious thought. When someone is truly present, you can see it and feel it. Those steady eyes, calm energy, genuine engagement. Our nervous system reads that as safe. And when people feel safe, they open up, they breathe, and they grow. That's who Chanel was. Even as a teenager, she didn't just sit in the classroom. She gave energy back. And if you've ever been a teacher or a leader or facilitating a room of people, you know how rare that is from the audience. And I do remember about 7 years ago, I had a leadership conference in downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan. The weather, sort of like that snow day when Chanel brought over that chai tea. The weather was brutal, a polar vortex winter wonderland. The conference lasted 2 days, and I didn't feel like traveling on the icy, snowy conditions and the poor visibility of the roadways. And so Chanel and Lauren opened their home to me so I could stay just minutes from the conference center. And here's the detail that tells you everything about a person. When I woke up that morning, there was a pot of coffee ready for me. That's Chanel. Not the resume, not the title, the care, being present. What struck me most in Carrie's conversation was how clearly Chanel named discipline for what it really is. Discipline, not glamorous, not exciting, boring, repetitive, quiet. And I see that as endurance. Everyone wants the finish line. Very few want the Tuesday morning effort when no one is watching. In my book, Lead with Endurance, I talk about how the real wins are built in quiet choices, the ones that don't earn applause but shape identity. And Chanel's story is a living example of that. Another moment that stayed with me was her honesty about the imposter syndrome, especially during her first year as an attending physician. Something I've seen over and over is this: when you grow, your nervous system often lags behind your resume. Discomfort doesn't mean you are failing, it often means you are leveling up. If you are listening right now and thinking, I don't know if I belong here, or why does this feel harder than I expected? That discomfort doesn't mean something's wrong. It usually means something new is forming. One of the most powerful leadership moments in the conversation was when Chanel said this: you'll learn the technical skills, but what makes someone great is simple. Show up, be prepared, be kind, especially to people without titles. Chanel, that's leadership. That's character. That's endurance that lasts. There was also something freeing in her reminder about the invisible spotlight. You see, most people are far more focused on themselves than they are on judging you. That spotlight we feel, it's mostly imagined. And when you stop living under it, you start living with intention. Confidence doesn't come before action. It follows it. This episode isn't really about medicine. It's about becoming, about presence, about discipline, and choosing growth when comfort would be easier. The future doesn't belong to the loudest people in the room. It belongs to the most present. The life you want isn't waiting for you someday. You see, it's being built by how you show up today, right now. And Chanel, if you ever hear this, Carrie and I, we are incredibly proud of you. Not just for what you've accomplished as an ER physician, but for who you have always been. This has been Project U 2.2, where we don't quit and we don't coast and we don't surrender. If today helped, share it with someone who feels capable but quietly stuck. And every Wednesday at 6:22 a.m., Carrie brings the heartbeat of this work: mindset, growth, and the next brave step. Until next time, stay strong, stay real, and keep living with endurance. See you at 6:22.